I've been asked recently quite a few times, particularly in group coaching, can you give us more examples of what it takes to be successful and some real life examples? So I wanted to do that. I want to include some clips from the interview with Gabriel, who was the first inductee from the Pantheon, my most successful mentee. We started working in August of 2019. The little thing called the pandemic, if you remember, came around a little later than when we first started. He had gotten 14 LOIs, and then when the pandemic hit, basically all of that work stopped. All of those LOIs expired, and most people would have quit there. It takes a lot of work to get 14 LOIs. He did that work. And so I want to include some clips from that Pantheon that talks about some of the lessons that you can learn from Gabriel, from his success, the reason he's been successful. And a lot of that starts with you have to know what to do. So that's a given. But then you have to work it and work it hard. And you have to know what to change, when to change it, how to improve. And as Gabriel said, you've got to stick around for the good stuff to happen. You've got to be resilient. You've got to learn from the mistakes and the rejection and the setbacks. So with that, let's start some of the clips, and I'll give some commentary in between. For your benefit, Gabriel, now from the humble beginnings of just a part-time employee, as he said, to today he's got over 50 locations and 700 employees. So it's been a great ride. He's done the heavy lifting, and it's been a real pleasure for me. Truth be told, in full disclosure, I have a piece of this deal as well. So that's worked out well for both of us.
And then all of a sudden it changed again, and traction starts to happen again, and we get the horsepower, or we got the horsepower back on the road, so to say.
Yeah, and neither one of us know what changed.
No,
it
no
just
clue.
Changed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was like, for the same thing when it happened to stop working, it worked again. So it was like, yeah,
right.
I don't know, but right. It doesn't matter actually. So
yeah.
Now, if I'm looking back, it was a hell of a ride, and we bought over 20 companies already.
That previous clip was from February of 2023. So at that point, he mentioned that more than 20 companies had been acquired, 300 employees. Today, that's more than 50 and more than 700 employees. So you begin to see how scale and acceleration can take place here. So I want to certainly let you know that. Additionally, a lot of people might say, well, it all came together for him. Think about 14 LOIs blowing up and all the work that went into that then was for naught other than experience. Think about the night before your first board meeting, as stressful as that probably is for most people, the chairman resigning and what would happen. And there were many other things along the way. But the part of it that I want to stress is you need to learn from those, but you have to keep pushing forward. So let's let Gabriel talk about that.
And I'm looking back, and I only see the positive memories, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I had some thoughts about what was the biggest challenge or the hard things, but actually the past is mostly in a good memory. So in good thoughts. So,
and you did a lot of things and had a lot of things you had to overcome. As I recall, your chairman resigned the day before your board meeting. Most people would have said, well, I guess this isn't going to work and we'll have to postpone the meeting, but you went forward.
Yes, we did.
Same thing with the 14 LOIs for people that are going through this process and acquiring LOIs. That doesn't happen by accident. So to see 14 of them disappear was a pretty emotional event. But
it was,
as a guy I know by the name of Gabriel has said, you got to hang around long enough for the good things to happen. So in this next clip, I asked Gabriel, how has your life changed since that day in 2019 when we met, working through that pandemic disaster? And then in July of 2022, he left his corporate job. We made sure that he was able to leave and still have the resources, income to be able to support his family. So that was successful. And then mental attitude is really important. So looking ahead, doing affirmations, having your eye on what you want to accomplish, and then doing that. And he goes through all of those things, including the initial process that we worked. So I want you to be able to hear that. So how has your life changed from that day in 2019?
Oh, it changed a lot. So I was always thinking about big dreams, big goals, and to build something big. But I never expected to be that fast. And so my life 180 degrees completely changed. And yeah, now we have an organization with over 300 employees. I'm the CEO of the company. Especially the deal side is under my responsibility, but also you have to make a lot of tough decisions. And I think the most important thing is that you really have to let me say establish leadership skills. You have to establish a good team structure and good employees to delegate to, because it changes from even if a salesman, you're selling your product or your services, whatever, but now you have to make sure that the whole organization, let me take this as an example, sell the right thing and the right services and do it in a good manner and good quality standard. So if I look back, it's like nothing like ever before. It's like a new chapter, completely new life. So to sum it up.
Yeah. And in the beginning, even to the point of doing the letters that you did letters in the beginning. I think you essentially used one that I had put together, but you might have tweaked that a little bit. But that letter pulled tremendously. But you did all of that. You printed the letters, you mailed the letters. Yes. It was a company with one employee essentially at that point. And so
a half-time employee, Mr. Whipple.
Yeah,
so
well, that's true. A part-time, because yes, you were working 10 hours a day in your sales job, right?
Exactly.
So you worked in the morning, and before work, you worked in the evening after work, and then 10 hours or so on Saturday or Sunday. Exactly. So yeah, part-time.
So at the beginning, I really did everything myself. I did no outsourcing whatsoever. So just figuring out a way how to contact potential acquisition targets in the best way possible. Mm-hmm. I had some challenges in let me say, change the language. So I'm not an English speaker.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So we have to change it to my main language or first language. So these translations, they were sometimes a little bit difficult to do because other cultures, other languages. But yeah, what I did is basically I send letters to potential interesting targets, and then I followed up with a call. Mm-hmm. And if they were motivated, I was quite pushy sometimes, as the one or the other can tell. And yeah, that's basically the initial process.
A lot of entrepreneurs are successful because they take action, but they're also control freaks. And one of the things, if you're going to grow, you have to learn to delegate. You have to learn to let people do things. You don't have to be the bottleneck in the system. That's going to require leadership skills and effective delegation. And that's one of the things that Gabriel has grown into. Taking those skills that you need, leadership and delegation, learning how to do those, and then implementing them. And as he says in here, you learn along the way. So let's talk about that with him. So how has being a CEO been different for you?
In terms of my past or in general?
No, in terms of the lessons you've had to learn, how to delegate, how to keep people accountable, that sort of thing.
I think one of the biggest things is you have to learn to let go. So to let tasks, even if they're really important, you have to delegate them, but you have to make sure that they they're done correct. So
Mm-hmm.
I think to delegate, but at the same time, in a high level scenario, pull the strings and make sure that everybody pulls in the same direction. I think that was one of the things I have to learn. So I'm pretty good on my own, but you have to depend on people, and you have to use the people you brought or you build up for you. And I think that's the biggest change. You're not able to rely on yourself and your skills, but you have to rely on other people, and you have to use the other people, because otherwise you're not able to pull something off like we did. So
right. You can't you can't grow quickly if you are the bottleneck in every decision.
exactly.
Absolutely.
So one word maybe is
Sure.
really leadership skills, and but in the same
You
time,
just read my mind.
yeah, so it's like leadership, and you have to learn them. It's like the building blocks I call the steps. You're getting better and better every way, or every step, or every building block, whatever you want to call it. And you have to lead, and you have to learn that while doing it. So it's not nothing you can read on, or you cannot read a book on leadership and pull it off. So you have to just do it, and then you're getting more comfortable in as a leader to tell a 60-year-old man what he has to do at the beginning in age is not that easy, and to do that with confidence, I think that's something you have to learn.
Well, absolutely. If you were to sum that up, what things did you learn about leadership that you were able to learn from, implement, get better at?
I think one particular thing is what I mentioned before, to let go, right? To give control to somebody else, but at the other point, make sure the people have the right tools to make the work. So you have to give them everything, information, tools, your expectation, etc., and then hold them accountable to what you gave them. But you, at the same time, you should be aware you cannot say that they did a bad job if you don't give them the right tools and the right information. So I think to delegate properly and hold them accountable, I think these are the really outstanding things you have to
Absolutely. So for most people doing this process, they haven't managed people before on the scale certainly that Gabriel has now. So how did he learn how to do that? How did he treat people that made mistakes? And then how did he pay people so that he got the most out of them and they felt most invested in the organization? And that's what we talk about next. And one of the lessons I learned early on was that, especially with good people, people are going to screw up. Just like you said, you're going to learn your lessons as you go forward. So sometimes you don't have to tell someone they screwed up. They already know they screwed up.
Next time.
Then one of the statements I used an awful lot was, next time, what would you do differently? How would you not repeat that same thing? And that way you develop leaders and competent people under you as well, right? If you make every decision yourself, you don't develop those people. So,
100%.
Asking people to come to you, especially if you got 300 people, you get a system probably that all 300 people aren't contacting you, but I suspect a lot are, to, if they bring a problem, to say, what do you find as the solution?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I had the last couple of months. People, they have their complaints, and they will start complaining in some points, but to give them the counter question, or to give them the tools to be the solution and not the problem. I think that was something I'm still learning. So every day I'm learning on this process. And the second thing I want to say was to pay them good money, to pay good employees money, and to that's one of my motto. If you want to, all of our employees are more like business partners. We see them more as business partners, and to include them also in the economic benefits we create. And if you do that, they will see themselves not as employees, but as entrepreneurs, actually.
I say frequently that this process is simple, but simple is not the same as easy. You will make bad decisions. You will hire the wrong people along the way. You will have rejection. You will have setbacks. But how you deal with those things and move through those things, that's the important part. So that's what we talk about next. So if you were to look back on your acquisition journey, uh, what are the big lessons from that you would say, whether that's using your board, assembling the right people, taking action, kissing frogs, whatever it is?
Yeah. So one thing is you have to be aware of a lot of rejection. So I think
Yep.
that's one big thing. You will get rejected a lot, and that's totally normal. And that's a big lesson. You have to just go over these rejections and keep doing what you're good at, and delegating things you're not so good at. So another big takeaway is to find and hire the right people. If they're board members or C-level executives or just managers in the regional side, doesn't matter. I think I had a big setback with one bad decision I made.
Yep.
In terms of let me say, of an executive we hired, and I cannot say who and whatever, but I think there was a hard setback, and so be careful who you pick and who you let in your in the rabbit hole, so to say. So
Yeah. So as I said in the beginning, you have to know what to do, you have to know how to do it, and you have to have the right people around you. So let's listen to what Gabriel thinks about that, what he thinks about mentors and owning up to mistakes, and then how to fix those mistakes. What was your experience with the mentoring? You know, originally you bought the course that I put together. You followed those steps. We did one-on-one mentoring for a while. We did group coaching for a while. But how important do you see mentors and that process?
So I think you always need a mentor, a coach, however you want to call it, as a, let me say, sparring partner, as a accountability partner, but also as somebody who has been there and done that, what you actually trying to accomplish. So I think it's no matter where, I think it's really important to have a mentor, have a coach, whatever you want to call it, to who has already done something you want to achieve or you strive for. And I'm not sure if maybe it's possible without, but I'm pretty confident that it's not possible in that speed and in that magnitude we achieved it without a mentor like you. In the meantime, I have 3 mentors, and they are all contributing to my success a lot. I think it's really important to have a mentor, to have a coach, to have a sparring partner. And important is that they should have a lot more experience than you, and they have to be successful in the thing you want to achieve. So tremendously important. And the course, I think it was really good to gather the basic elements of an acquisition company, of a roll-up or buy and build strategy, whatever you want to call it. I think it's really important, or it helps to gather the necessary building blocks to do it. I don't think you need a mentor to start. I don't think that you need that, but along the way, hopefully, if you do it right, you will get mentors through the building of the company. So massively important, the mentor relationship.
Yeah, and I think, you know, our relationship, a lot of it is, and you're right, it's experience that over all these years that I've had, but you often come and say, here's the situation, here's what I'm thinking about doing. What do you think?
Exactly.
Yeah, a lot of times the answer is, yeah, I think that's right, or I think there's a better way to do it, and to have that. And one of the things that you do that's super important is that a lot of people, when they're having problems, don't articulate those problems to their mentors, whoever. And so that's not to say that you should share doubts, but it is to say that
Yeah.
a lot of people end up saying, well, maybe that'll fix itself in time. And usually it doesn't. And what you do in that circumstance is you rob yourself of time to fix the problem. So you're pretty good at saying, hey, here's a situation,
Yeah.
here's a problem, et cetera, et cetera. And when you've got 20 plus business locations now, you're going to have problems all the time, you know.
Exactly.
You just are. And you certainly get better at fixing them, but sometimes the input that you need and the time you need, raise your hand as soon as you see that problem. Absolutely.
100%. So that's what I meant by sparring partner, so to say, to come up with or to show a problem, an issue, a challenge, and figure out with joint forces, figure out a way to work around or to solve the issue. But you have to be confident enough to, even if you made a bad decision or you made your mistake yourself, to point it out and say, okay, that's an issue. I made something wrong or was a terrible decision. How do we fix it?
So I hope you got a lot from those clips, from that information, from my most successful mentee. Long journey, but from where he was to where he is now, a reasonably short period of time, particularly with a pandemic for more than a year that basically stopped everything. But lessons to be learned there. But let's use this as part one. I'm going to do a second part with some additional lessons from my experiences with Gabriel and his experiences. So we'll do that. To the point of knowing what to do, go over to brucewhipple.com. Look at the courses that helped Gabriel. Look at the coaching that helped Gabriel and the mentoring that's there. But most of all, know what to do and then take action. Take massive action. Remember, you've got to stick around long enough for the good things to happen. You've got to surround yourself with good people. You will fail your way to success, and you'll learn from those. And the right people around you will help you avoid making those mistakes, but will also help you maneuver through the mistakes you've made and correct them. So, look forward to part two, and that'll be coming out shortly.